Welcome everyone to our weekly shiur on the Zera Shimshon. Be'ezrat Hashem, tonight we will be doing Parashat Vayechi, Derush Tet, Ot Tet, the ninth Ot of the Zera Shimshon, today's parasha. It is dedicated anonymously for somebody, anonymously dedicated it for Hatzlacha of his friend, that his friend HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help him do a teshuvah shelema and come back to the path of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, path of Torah and Ben Keni Ratzon. It's also Leilu Nishmat, the Zera Shimshon himself, that he should be a Manitz Yosher for all those that are single to find their zivug on time, Bizmano, Bekarov, and also those that are married and want children. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should bless them with children. Zera Kayama, Amen Keni Ratzon. All right. Do we have a shiur this week? I know I say that every week, but it doesn't get old, right? So listen to the Zera Shimshon tonight. We are going to have some introductions made so that we understand where the Zera Shimshon is coming from, number one. Number two, we will be referring to a concept. We will be referring to a concept that the Zera Shimshon introduced to us a few times back. I think last year in one of the Derushim we talked about it. 2 years ago we talked about it. It's a concept that's brought up a lot. It's a concept that's very important when it comes to the relationship of the brothers, Yosef HaTzadik and his brothers, which clarify a lot what their disagreements were really about, what was really going on. So this Derush will use that concept again to explain something really crucial. A question that we always have had, many people have asked, and I'm sure if you read the parasha, when you read the parasha this week in shul, when you read the translation, you will have this question. But you'll also have the answer because of the Zera Shimshon. So listen to this. The pasuk says, "Vayar Yisrael et penei Yosef vayomer mi ele." Yaakov Avinu was passing away. He was on his deathbed, and he calls Yosef HaTzadik to come. They call Yosef HaTzadik to come, and Yosef HaTzadik brings his two children, Menashe and Ephraim, to his father Yaakov Avinu for a blessing. This is the time that Yaakov Avinu blesses all of his children. It was the first time in history anybody got to bless their children or speak to their children before they go. Because famously, as it's known from the Midrash, before Yaakov Avinu, there was no illness before death. People would just sneeze and die. Yaakov Avinu, being the last of the patriarchs, prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, asked Hashem for this gift so that he'll be able to speak to his children. He wanted to know when it's going to happen. Therefore, the first time that you hear in the Torah of anybody being not well, it's Yaakov Avinu. It says they went to Yosef and they said, Hine avicha chole. Behold, your father is ill. It hadn't happened before. So they knew this is the time. It was the first time that they were able to talk, and Yaakov Avinu is giving his last will and testament. So it comes to Bnei Yosef, Menashe and Ephraim, the two children of Yosef that he had in Mitzrayim at the time. Yosef HaTzadik brings those two children to his father Yaakov for a blessing. So see what happens. Yaakov Avinu looks at these children and he says, Mi ele, who are these? Now, if you read when you read the Torah, you will see that before he even asks this question, Yaakov Avinu says to Yosef clearly, he says, your two children, Menashe and Ephraim, ki Reuven veShimon li. They're just like my Reuven and Shimon, my two first children. So it's not like he didn't know who Menashe and Ephraim were. He knew his own grandchildren. The Chachamim talk about how Menashe and Ephraim were actually raised on Yaakov Avinu's lap. He was their grandpa. So what's this question? And no, he wasn't senile. No, he wasn't. He was very, very, very conscious of what's going on. He knew exactly what's happening. He had nevuah. He gave the blessings to his other children with prophecy, exactly what each child needed to get. So what's really happening here? What was his question? All of a sudden, as soon as he's about to give a bracha, he goes, hold on, who are they? And Yosef HaTzadik's response makes it even more difficult. So he says, Rashi says over there, when Yaakov Avinu asked, who are they? Obviously he knew who they were. Rashi says, Bikish levarcham, when Yaakov Avinu came to actually bless them, all of a sudden, his prophecy left. Yaakov Avinu lost his power of prophecy as soon as he was about to bless them. Why? Lefi sha'atit Yerovam, because later on, there were two individuals that were going to emerge from the great-great-great-grandchildren of Menashe and Ephraim, who were Yerovam and Yehu, whom these two individuals became very, very wicked. They were first very learned, and tzaddikim became very, very wicked in their lifetime. And when Yaakov Avinu saw that such people are coming from Menashe and Ephraim, all of a sudden he said, hold on, maybe I shouldn't bless them. Who are these people? What is happening? Because Yerovam and Yehu were incredible. They caused a lot of damage for Am Yisrael. So therefore, Rashi says, that's why Yaakov Avinu said, Vayomer mi ele. He said, hold on, who are these? What am I about to do? Who am I about to give a blessing to? Now listen to this. Mehechan yatsu ele she'enam re'uyim livracha. Where did these two children come from that do not deserve my blessing with a prophecy? Why did I lose my prophecy all of a sudden? Where do they come from that they shouldn't be blessed like? I feel, let's put it this way, I feel like they don't deserve a blessing. Amar lo Yosef responds to them, Banayhem asher natan li Elokim bazeh. These are my children that Hashem gave me with this. Bazeh. Now, when you read the Torah, you feel like, oh, it's just poetic, you know. Banayhem asher natan li Elokim bazeh. These are my children that have given me with these. It's like, yeah, but what's with this? What does that mean, with this? Hashem give me with this. Just say, these are my children that Hashem has given me, right? That's just natural. Her'alo shetar. So it continues, the explanation continues. Her'alo shetar erusin ushtar ketuva. What is the bazeh that Yaakov Avinu, Yosef HaTzadik is answering? Hashem gave me with this. It says that Yosef HaTzadik showed Yaakov Avinu his document of marriage, ketubah, and his erusin. He showed him. Here's my engagement document, shtar of erusin, and here's my ketubah with my wife. So anybody reading this with a naked eye, you think to yourself, Yaakov was confused. Like, are these really your children? And Yosef was like, yeah. I have a ketubah and everything. I'm married. That's my wife, and these are my kids. But that's not what is happening. Yaakov was not confused. For sure not confused. And so therefore, we need to understand, what's Yaakov Avinu asking? What's the reply coming from Yosef HaTzadik? How did he, showing his ketubah to Yaakov Avinu, answer his concerns, from which Yaakov Avinu afterwards blessed them with a huge blessing? Menashe and Ephraim got a blessing from Yaakov Avinu. So how did that answer solve the problem? Everybody with me so far? Yaakov Avinu follows. As soon as Yosef HaTzadik says, here's the ketubah, he says, Vayomar, Yaakov Avinu said, Kachem na elai v'avarechem. Bring them to me. And he blessed them. So something was resolved here. Let's figure out what was resolved. It's beautiful. It's so perfect. It could only be Torah. Nothing else is this perfect. Listen to this. Yesh ledaktek. We have to first analyze. Mahu shamar lo Yaakov mi'ele. First, we have to understand why he said, who are these? Vechi adayin lo haya makiram. Are we going to say that he really didn't recognize them? Bahalo kvar ketiv, because beforehand it already says, Va'ata shene vanecha ki Reuven veShimon yuli. Already beforehand, the pasuk says that Yaakov Avinu said to Yosef, your children, Menashe and Ephraim, are like Reuven and Shimon for me. So therefore, we know he recognizes them. And if you want to say, Shesha'al ze, he asked this question, Bishvil shenistalera mimenu shechina, because prophecy left him. If you want to say he asked it all of a sudden because he got all of a sudden a moment of non-clarity because he lost his prophecy, Bishvil Yerovam veYehu, because of Yerovam and Yehu that would come from Menashe and Ephraim. Im yada zeh, however, if we're going to say this, if Yaakov Avinu understood that his prophecy left him because generations later, two individuals like Yerovam and Yehu are going to come from Menashe and Ephraim, and that's why he was questioning it. If he knew this, ma makom lish'elato, then why should he even ask? Gam b'tshuvat Yosef, even after Yosef answers the question, sheher'a lo shtar erusim ketubim, that he showed him his ketubah, ma terutzu zeh. What kind of an answer is this? How does that fix the problem of the fact that generations later, Yerovam and Yehu are going to come from Menashe and Ephraim? How's your ketubah going to help? I have another problem, right? The Shekhinah left because of these two. So why did he all of a sudden, Yaakov say, oh, okay, fine, I'll give him a blessing. So what happened to Yerovam? What happened to your prophecy? How did the ketubah solve this? All of the Mefarshim have felt this question. What is happening here? Other commentators also ask, like, what's Yaakov Avinu asking? What's Yosef HaTzadik answering? How is Rashi not bothered by all of this? Rashi's just saying like, yeah, so he asked them, who are these? And he's like, here's my ketubah and shtar. Really? And it's over? That's it? Everybody's got their answer? I don't think anybody's happy, right? I've never been happy with this. Like, oh, okay. But Yaakov Avinu all of a sudden was like, after 17 years of knowing his a daughter-in-law and grandchildren, now he's thinking, hold on a second. How do I know these are your children? Seriously? Now? That's not, so we can't say that was the problem. Listen to this. Vayechi lomar, shekatav Parashat Derachim, the Parashat Derachim, which is a commentary, he says, שהקדוש ברוך הוא הפליג חסדו על ישראל, שכשרואה שעתידין להרע ולהיטיב, Hashem has showed much mercy on his children, Am Yisrael, that whenever it's known that somebody, generations later, is going to do something bad, it is destined for this person to not be good. Okay? Hashem has had mercy. Metiv emahem bishvil ma she'atidim lehetiv, sorry. If he knows that someone later on, or someone's generations later on, are going to do something bad or good, it is known already in prophecy. Obviously, Hashem knows everything, right? Hashem knows everything. Metiv emahem bishvil ma she'atidim lehetiv. Hashem bestows upon that person good because of something good that will come out of him later. Even if it's his children, great-grandchildren, because he will have great-grandchildren or something later on that will be a positive impact on the world, Hashem positively impacts that person now because of that future. See how good HaKadosh Baruch Hu is? Hashem says, Mr. So-and-so, you're going to have a great-grandchild who's going to be the eyes of Am Yisrael. You yourself, nobody. However, I'm going to give you everything because you will one day have that great-great-grandchild. Imagine that, And we've had people in history like that, right? But, not in that way that I just said it, but they were good people also. They made good choices, but let's say they were not the biggest chachamim or life changers, but they made good decisions in their life, and they were gifted generations to come because of it, right? So now, however, however, HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not take away his kindness on the accounts of like bad things that they are destined to do. Meaning, when Hashem sees in the future this person's great-grandchildren or one of their great-child is going to be a bad seed, he doesn't hold it against that person. So it only works for the good, not for the bad. That's one of the gifts HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives to his children. You thought us accepting the Torah was just a responsibility? No, it comes with some benefits of Hashem's household, right? That's what it is. We got like an ID that says Jew. It's written on our forehead. Yes, it comes with a lot of responsibilities. It comes with a lot of anti-Semitism. It comes with a lot of other packages, but it's got good packages also. This membership gives you certain freebies as well. Like for instance, halakha says, like for instance, if you were about to do something good, you're about to give tzedakah, and the guy just says, you know what? Thank you, but I don't need your tzedakah. Right? So you have the checkbook out, like, I wanted to give you tzedakah. The guy's like, thank you very much. I don't want it, for whatever reason. He doesn't need it, or whatever. In Shamayim, if you had in mind to write a $10,000 check, but you never did it, in Shamayim, you just wrote a check for $10,000, you gave it to the greatest tzedakah. So when you go in Shamayim, Hashem's going to be like, oh, wait, I never even gave that check. I never even wrote it. Hashem says, listen, your kavanah was so pure. You really wanted to do it. I counted it as if you did. Hazaku Baruch. The opposite is not true though. If you're about to do something negative, and you didn't even make the choice not to do the negative, okay? You weren't even in control. You were gonna do it, something happened, you were unable to do it. You never did it. Hashem doesn't count it as if you did it. So there's no angels telling you, listen. You're about to do it. I was the one who saved you from doing it, okay? Because if you coulda, you woulda. You just didn't because you couldn't have, right? Hashem says, no biggie, it's okay, I love him. It's as if you didn't even do it. That's one of the gifts HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives his children. He loves us. He loves us with no bounds, and he says, I only count the good deeds, not the bad deeds. Even if you had a kavanah to do something bad, in my eyes, you didn't do it. You're into it. You have zechut, you didn't do it. You wanted to do something good, you didn't get to do it, you still did it. Ain't that amazing? That's amazing, right? So now, this is the pasuk, Bil'am, when Bil'am was trying to curse the Jews, when we came out of Egypt, and Bil'am with his donkey, or is it the other way around? No, it was he wanted to curse the Jews and blessings were coming out. This is one of the things that he said about Bnei Israel. He said, Lo hibit aven beYaakov, that there's no bad or negativity that will befall Am Yisrael. Over there, Chachamim say, Sha'akadosh Baruch Hu eino dan et ha'adam ela lefi ma'asav shel oto sha'a. Hashem only judges the person according to their actions at that moment. What they'll do in the future, it's bad. Right now, I love you. Right? That's what it is. Va'afal pi sha'atid lahara, even if he's going to do something bad later on, vayar aven velo yitponan. Uchtiv, so yeah, even if he's going to be something bad, doesn't do it. Just like it says, Ba'asher Usham, Hashem judges the person according to now. Now you're trying to do something good. If it's something bad later on, I don't know. We're not even going to discuss it. We're not going to think about it. Hala, that's later, right? So he says, Aval b'mitzvot, but when it comes to mitzvot, mistakel b'meh she'atidim la'asot. Hashem looks all the way to see what this person will be doing later on. Imagine, Hashem wants to judge, chas v'shalom. Let's say Hashem wants to judge a Jew. Right now, he might not be doing so well. Or she might not. Why do I always say he? Okay? Equality. He or she might not be doing so well. Huh? He or she might not be doing so well right now. And the judgment might not come out so well. But Hashem says, let me look in the future. If they're going to do something good in the future, I will judge them for that good right now. It'll be on their account right now. They deserve goodness now because of what they will do later in goodness. The opposite is not true. If the person is bad now, but there's going to be bad coming later too, Hashem doesn't count the bad in the future. It has nothing to do with him. Let me judge him according to the bad right now. If he deserves punishment now because of this, maybe. But I'm not going to count more bad that he's going to do in the future and add it up to the bad now to punish him right now. No. Hashem, in fact, looks for the good, not to punish for the bad right now. That's how he is. He is the most, in this sense, the most unfair judge, which is good. We don't want that. When it comes to Am Yisrael, we don't want Hashem to be quote unquote perfectly fair. You know, when it comes to him. Don't. We want him to be to work with avarachamim. You want him to be merciful, not fair. Hashem, have mercy. That's why we never say, Hashem, I deserve this. Oh boy. You do never want to say that. You never want to say, Hashem, give this to me. I want it because I deserve it. No, ever. Because Hashem says, all right, you want to do math? My math is a lot better than yours. I can pull up all the files. We'll put one and one, and we'll see if you pull your own weight. So we don't want to do that. We want to ask Hashem for tzedakah. Tzedakah is not math. Tzedakah is just free giving. Hashem, I'm asking for your tzedakah. I'm asking for your rahamim. I'm asking for your mercy. Do this for me. I know I don't deserve it. I know I don't deserve it. But I want a gift. We ask every day in our tefillah, Ata chonen le'adam da'at. Hashem, you give mankind da'at. Da'at is basic sechel. It's just knowledge. It's just to know from wrong and right. Chonen comes from the word free gift. We're saying, Hashem, Ata chonen le'adam da'at. You give as a free gift. Da'ah, just pure knowledge. Please, give us also. We don't say, Hashem, I deserve this, I deserve that. No. Rachum v'chanun, I want the free gifts. That's what I want. Not because I deserve it, but because, no, you are good. That's what Hashem does with us. Mistakel b'ma she'atidim la'asot, u'metiv lahem ma'achshav. Hashem looks at the good that they might do later, and he returns the favor now. From the future to now. Bezehu shesiyam hakatuv, Hashem Elokav imo. And that's why the pasuk with Bil'am says, Hashem Elokav imo, Hashem is God, is with him. Umetiv lahem b'ma she'atidim la'asot, and bestows good upon them for the good that they're going to do in the future. V'chen asa b'tzetam mitzrayim. This is exactly what Hashem did to Am Yisrael when we left Egypt. Why? She'etiv imahem bishvil shayu atidim leqabel haTorah. We've said this many times. Hashem did the miracles for us even though we had no more zechut left. Remember, we came to the ocean. We had the enemy and their chars behind us, and their horses and donkeys behind us. And we had the ocean in front of us. We had nowhere to go, right? There was a problem. We had no more merits either. I mean, we were a nation that we were in depth of idolatry and all the filth of Egypt for 210 years. Okay? And already, all of Hashem's, so to speak, if you could say chas v'shalom, all of Hashem's chesed had ran out. A year of miracle after miracle in Mitzrayim. The craziest miracles, like fireballs with water coming down and like animals going crazy, only hurting the Egyptians and not the Jews. The animals were racist. They were the opposite of anti-Semites. They were like picking and choosing. Like, you're Egyptian, don't lie to me. Right? They were only hurting the enemies. Craziest things were happening. By the time we got to the ocean, there was no more zechut left. Right? So much so that we said this before, the Malachim came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and they said, Hashem, you're about to split the sea, even the ocean. We say in Az Yashir, Hayam Ra'av Vayanos. The ocean saw something and it split. Why does it even say that? Because the ocean didn't want to split. Ocean's like, why should I go against all of my nature because of them? Why are they good? And you want me to come down on the Egyptians? They're just like the Egyptians. What's the difference between them and them? That's how far down we've gone. So what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu say? No, they're going to accept the Torah. So Hashem did the miracle of splitting the sea for something we were going to do in the future we had not even done yet. We hadn't even been asked to do it yet. But Hashem said, it's worth it. Because they're going to make a good choice later, I'm going to count that now. I'm going to do this miracle for them now. Now notice, what else did we do during the giving of the Torah? Chet HaEgel. We worshiped the calf. Hashem didn't hold that against us to say, they're going to accept the Torah, but yeah, they're actually kind of like right afterwards, they're going to build a golden calf and worship it as if like I don't even exist all of a sudden. Right? Hashem could have very well said, they are going to accept the Torah, but like right away, they're going to be like, no thanks. But he didn't count that. He only counted the fact that we wanted to accept the Torah. It's a perfect example of Hashem only being metiv. He's only giving good. He doesn't count the bad and stuff because he always wants to just do good. He looks for excuses to do good for us. Parents will understand this better. Those that are watching. Whenever your kids do something wrong and you want to give them the silent treatment, we're going to be very honest about this. It's usually the parent that's looking for a way. Be like, break the ice and try to talk to the kid and make the kid talk to them. Why? Because the only thing the parent wants to do to the child is, I want to do good for you. I'm doing this for your own good. I want it to be good. I want our relationship to be good, right? The child is a stupid child at that time. Child thinks like, I don't care. I hate my dad. I hate my mom. You're a chad. You don't even understand what you're talking about. Like, wait until you grow up and you look back, you're going to be like, oh my, I'm so dumb. Like it happens to the best of us, including myself, right? The things you go through with your parents, you grow up later on, especially when you become a parent yourself. Oh my gosh. You look back, you're like, wow. The amount of love a parent has for a child is crazy. It really is. It drives you crazy. You lose your mind over how much love you have for a child. You don't know what to do with it. Why are we like that? Partially because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to feel what he feels for us. That's the amount of love Hashem has for his children. He loves us so much. He's constantly trying to do good to us. And Hashem, therefore, didn't even consider holding back the miracle of splitting of the sea because we were going to worship the Egel. So he says, further, the same Rav wrote, the Parashat Terachim further says like this. There's a midrash. All right. The midrash says like this. Okay. We have when the story of Reuven and Bilhah. Okay. You guys know the story? Yes, no, maybe. Okay. Very neutral faces. That's good. That's good. It's really good. Really good. Robotics, literally.
The dying?
The what?
The dying?
No. So what happened was when Leah Imenu passed away. Oh, sorry. Rachel Imenu passed away. Sorry. So you know what I'm talking about. All right. The face kind of like. When Rachel Imenu passed away, Yaakov Avinu switched his tent to Bilhah's tent. Okay. Now Leah Imenu was still alive. Now Reuven was the first child of Leah Imenu and Yaakov Avinu, right? So he kind of, I don't want to, like, we're talking about the Shevatim here, Chas v'Shalom, we don't want to be disrespectful, but the Torah says certain things that Reuven did with Bilhah, which was one of the maidservants that later on Yaakov Avinu married, right, and had children with, and those are the Shevatim. Part of the Shevatim come from them. So the Torah says that the Torah speaks of it as if Reuven somehow had a relationship with Bilhah, which would be like having a relationship with your stepmom, right? So now, listen to this midrash. The midrash says, "Ala pasuk az chilalta Yesu'e ala." When Yaakov Avinu spoke to Reuven right before he passed away, giving him his blessing, he mentioned this misdeed to Reuven before going. And he said, Az chilalta Yesu'e ala. You desecrated the one that ascended, went up on my couch. It's a terminology used for my couch, my bed. Now, what does that all mean? Meaning somehow like you came over my bed, you took over my bed, something like that. Okay. Amar le Yaakov. Yaakov Avinu said, what is the midrash meaning when it says you ascended? Yetzueh Allah, you went up, you ascended. Yaakov Avinu said to Reuven, Eini lo marchekcha, I will not distance you, meaning I'm not going to reject you, Reuven, velo megarevcha, and I will not bring you close either. Meaning this was Yaakov Avinu's way of saying to his son, I'm not pushing you back, but I'm not bringing you in either. Meaning he was saying, I don't know how to judge you with this action. Now, before I even go further into this, there has to be like an introduction here. There are many chachamim that explain that Reuven did not actually have relations with Bilhah. Some say, many Mefarshim say he just switched the beds. He took his father's bed from Bilhah's tent and he brought it into his mother's tent, Leah's tent, meaning saying, this is one of the matriarchs. Bilhah was a secondary pileg. She was a maidservant. Okay, you married her, but like Leah was your first wife. She gets, respectfully, the bed should be here. But that counted for, it was so disrespectful towards the patriarch Yaakov Avinu. It counted as if Reuven had relations with his stepmother. However, the Torah does say he had relations, so to speak, with his stepmother, kind of. So we're gonna go and use the pasukim of the Torah and take it literally, as if Reuven really had relations, because we're saying it counted as if, right? Either way, it was that severe. So this is what Yaakov Avinu is pointing out and saying, this was severe, what you did, but I don't know how to judge it. What does it mean that Yaakov Avinu is saying, I don't know how to judge it? I'm not going to push you away. I'm not going to bring you in either. Meaning, I don't know how to judge this situation. I don't know how bad it was. Was it bad? Are you lost or are you not lost? Now listen to how he breaks it down. It's beautiful. He says, "Ela ani tole otcha befiryon ad she'yavo Moshe." The Midrash says, I will leave you hanging until Moshe Rabbeinu comes, and he will clarify where you stand as Reuven, one of the tribes. I can't clarify it. Let Moshe come. Now, why is Moshe Rabbeinu important here? Because he's going to receive the Torah. When he receives the Torah, something's going to become clarified, and Moshe is going to make the decision as to whether you're in or you out. Why? So it says, Shekatuv bo, remember, the pasuk said, Yetzu'e Allah, you ascended. So what does that have to do with Moshe Rabbeinu? Because the pasuk says, Moshe Allah el Elokim. When Moshe Rabbeinu went to get the Torah, it says Moshe ascended to the mountain to go and receive the Torah. So it says Allah and Allah, these two Allahs are linked. Meaning Yaakov Avinu was telling Reuven, somehow Moshe Rabbeinu is going to clear your name if you're supposed to stay or go. Why? So the Rav explains, "De pilakshim hem belo ketuba uktushin." What was the confusion of Yaakov Avinu here? Did Reuven do something really severe or not that severe? How severe was his sin? Now, pilakshim, maidservants that would get married then, we don't have such things anymore, right? But there were such things called maidservants, pilakshim. You had wives and you had maidservants, right? They, in a certain sense, were like wives. In a certain sense, they're not actually your wife.
Concubines.
They're
called concubines.
Yes, if you call, I don't know. Okay.
The Stone Edition calls them concubines.
Orale.
The Stone Edition calls them concubines.
The Stone Edition calls them concubines. Okay. Concubines. Concubines. Yes?
Didn't Reuven do teshuvah? Why is Yaakov Avinu still when?
Because the action was committed, and Yaakov Avinu was referring to it still because of the future, what the future will hold. Is he going to still be part of the Shvatim or not?
So he didn't know if his teshuvah was even able to.
Right, he didn't know if that teshuvah had counted. This was the Yaakov Avinu's confusion. We know because we're reading the text of the Torah, right? Yaakov Avinu doesn't have that yet. So he's saying, we'll have to wait till Moshe Rabbeinu comes, right?
Was it such a severe thing though?
Yes, the Torah looks at it as something severe.
Why?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
but
It doesn't seem that
it's
bad.
even worst case scenario was a step, right? And step,
Worst case scenario was a stepmom.
yes.
Mhm.
And biblically at that time,
Biblically, at that time, what?
that wasn't forbidden.
What?
Of course it is.
No, it was. Your father's wife is forbidden. No, wait. We'll see. We're gonna see.
You already know the answer. You just said it.
Yeah.
Huh?
You just said it. Now is it wait.
No. Wait. We'll see. It's gonna explain it, so he won't have that question hopefully anymore. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, we're good. Okay, I'm glad that no one's on their phone. That says a lot. It's wonderful. People are asking questions. Very good. Good. So he says, there were other things I wanted to say, but I didn't want to. The Pilakshim, concubines, right? That he actually translates it here as well. I don't really read the translation. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you said I'm stoned. Is there an? I'm sorry. I'm kidding. The concubines, hem belo ketuba uktushin. When a person would have a concubine those days, they did not have a ketuba and kedushin. There was no engagement and there was no marriage. It wasn't a marriage like a regular marriage that you have a ketuba and a chuppah. It wasn't like that, right? Imken, therefore, Bilha shahaita pilegesh Yaakov, Bilha, who was the pilegesh of Yaakov Avinu, the concubine of Yaakov Avinu. I'm just going to say pilegesh. Concubine just... Bilha, that was the pilegesh of Yaakov Avinu, lo chashiva eshet Yaakov. She wasn't technically considered a wife, quote unquote, of Yaakov, meaning she wasn't a full-fledged wife. Machar shelo kiddesha. He never was mekudeshet her, like a regular kiddushin and an irusin and a chuppah. Umishne shlemo shaninu, and we've learned in the Mishnah that teaches in Yevamot, Nose Adam anusat aviv umfutat aviv. Technically speaking, halachically speaking, if a person's father goes and violates a woman, without marriage, nothing, or forget violating, he was just with a woman, right? Can his son marry that woman later?
No.
Yes.
This is without marriage.
So yeah, there was no marriage.
That's Tamar and Yehuda too, right?
No, that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing.
It's the same thing.
No.
It's the opposite.
No, that was very different. That was very different.
All the way around.
So a woman that was seduced or violated by someone's father, the son of that same man could marry that woman. She was never married, quote unquote. There was no ketubah, there was no kiddushin. He was just with her. It doesn't in any way make her a full-fledged wife. Do you understand? If a guy just went with some woman, that doesn't make her his wife. Therefore, if the son of that man wants to marry that woman later on, he can. Because she's not his wife. Is that clear? This is all technical stuff. It's technically, all right? Yeah. It's kind of like, ew, but we're like, technically we're coming to the technicalities of things. What's okay? No.
It's not okay.
No, it's not okay. That's what we're saying. We're saying like, what would be legal? Exactly. Right? I feel stoned now. Vehu hadin lefilegesh aviv. Says now, the same law would apply to a pilegesh of someone's father. Why? Because she's not a legal wife, but she's a wife. Right? She's not really married as a wife, she's a pilegesh. The children are okay children. They're not mamzerim or whatever. They're not bastards. They would be kosher children. This is that time, right? But she's not married. She's not married. Now, we discussed this literally before the video started, right? If somebody goes and gets, quote unquote, married with the nicest singer under the chuppah, beautiful voice, right? But the guy has no clue what he's doing. He's not a rabbinic student, nothing. Like, oh, we want to have this guy because he voices, whatever, right? They can be living together. They can have children. The children are kosher as long as the woman, the wife is Jewish, right? The children they're not bastards. They're kosher Jewish children as long as the mother is Jewish. They're kosher. Now, if God forbid, or whatever, they split up, and it was so bad that this guy never ended up giving a get to this lady, giving a kosher a divorce according to Jewish law, and the lady went and married somebody else, right? Do we say that this somebody else married someone's wife that doesn't have a get? No, because she wasn't really married. She didn't have a real marriage. Why? Because the one who married her off didn't have kosher witnesses. They didn't even know what they're doing. It was just for show. It was very nice. The flowers at the tables were at least $1,000 each. It was fabulous. But that's all it was. Were they really married according to Torah? Not. In fact, this happened in the past. It has happened. This is the teshuvah. Response of Rav Moshe Feinstein. There's a response of Rav Ovadia Yosef Zatzal about, all right, if I must tell you. So stories like this. One of my rabbis, I don't know if they want me to say the names, but this is a famous rabbi, quite famous, told me this personally.
You're in LA?
No, he does not live in LA. Years ago, he was a teacher in a school in one of the states of the United States of America. And he was talking about the laws of mamzerim in the Gemara, Jewish school. What constitutes the mamzer? What makes a bastard child according to Jewish law? And he talks about how, God forbid, if two people are married and they get a legal civil divorce, but they don't get a Jewish divorce, they're technically still married according to Jewish law. And if the woman goes off and, God forbid, marries somebody else and has children, those children are mamzerim and nobody even knows. The children are going to become, very unfortunate. Chas v'shalom, lo aleinu, we should never know of these things. She says, after the class was over, everybody went out for recess. There's a 14-year-old boy sitting there, white as a ghost. He comes up to the rabbi and says, Rabbi, he tells a story that his mother and father are a second marriage, but his mother was married before to somebody else, and they're not very religious, they're not very observant, they never got a divorce. They just separated it and she got married, and he's the product. So I remember this exactly because I had the same reaction you guys had when he told me this, right? And he said, it was a moment of the rabbi's foot in his mouth. He's like, for all of a sudden, I'm like, why did I even say that in this class today? I felt so horrible. I don't know what to tell this kid. I'm like, we'll talk about it later. She goes, right away, at that time, Rav Moshe Feinstein, who was one of the halachic geniuses, Gedolei Ador of that generation, not too long ago, this is in the 90s. And he goes to Rav Moshe Feinstein to ask him what to do. So he finally gets in. He had an easy time getting in. He's a very well-known person. Sits down with Rav Moshe Feinstein, tells him the story. He goes, so this poor kid is coming to me, asking me what he should do when he wants to get married. What he's supposed to tell families, like he's a mamzer, he has to let them know, he can't marry a regular Jewish girl. What is he? So Rav Moshe Feinstein asks him, how old is this boy now? He says 14. He goes, in how many years do you think he'd want to get married? He goes, I don't know, 8, 9 years. He says, all right. Ask the question in 9 years. And then we'll talk about it. He goes, Rav Moshe Feinstein. He says, you don't ask questions. I'm like, thank you for that, Rav, and I left. Next time the kid asked me, I'm like, listen, don't worry about it. You're not trying to get married now anyway. Do your studies, be comfortable. Don't worry about it. Everything is fine. We'll come to that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. He goes, you won't believe it. 9 years later, the boy calls me. Rabbi, do you remember me? No. I'm the boy from this and this school. I've come to haunt you. Rabbi, do you remember me? I'm the boy from this and that school. You remember? He goes, yes, I do remember. He goes, he had turned his life around. He had become totally frum. He went to yeshiva. He became a Talmid Chacham. He says now he's dating, and now he's found a girl that he thinks he's going to ask to marry. All of a sudden, he doesn't know what to do. His situation is still in the air. You said I should tell you, I should call you, and please. He goes, okay, let me let you know. He says, right away, I took a ride to Rav Moshe Feinstein. Listen to what gadlut is, greatness. Okay? He says, I opened the door. This has been 9 years, multiple times. He's already been to Rav Moshe Feinstein since then. Okay? He opens the door. Rav Moshe Feinstein says, Nu, you want to talk about that boy?
Wow.
Okay? They don't become who they are because of so Rav Moshe Feinstein. He was mamash, he was somebody else. He was not on earth. So he says, yes, actually I've come to talk to you about it. So he writes this whole tshuva and he says, Mazal Tov, tell him he's going to be fine. Why? Because he researched and found out the wedding of the mother, the first marriage, was never even a marriage because she was very, very secular. They called a rabbi to hire, and they got married, The witnesses were probably even cousins or something, which are non-kosher witnesses. The whole marriage wasn't really a Jewish marriage according to Jewish law. So the boy is a kosher boy. He's a nice Jewish boy. And the fact that they never got a divorce, it didn't really matter. They weren't even married, right? And Baruch Hashem, he got married and the rabbi's still in touch. The last time I heard, he was like, he's got children and Baruch Hashem, right? And unfortunately, things like this, it's unfortunate. It happens. And a lot of times, the Chachamim, with their geniuses, they knew how to look through these things and help people in these situations. That's how a Pilegesh works. Pilegesh is also, there's no ketubah, there's no kiddushin. The children are kosher, as long as they're Jewish, and but there's no real marriage per se. So it's like a semi-wife. I don't know what you would call it. Quasi-wife? Stone edition, what does it call it? So he says, same is true. The law applies with a concubine of a person's father, right? She's not technically married to him. She's a wife, but she's not a wife. So therefore, to the son, she would technically be allowed because she's to the father's son, not to her own son. She would be a stepmother. Meaning, if the father has a son with another wife, and the father also has a pilegesh, the pilegesh technically is allowed to this son. It's disgusting, it's not right, but technically speaking, it's not asur. Now, no one's saying that a person should do this chas v'shalom. That's why it was so bad in the Torah, right? It's wrong. We're talking about technicalities here. Technicalities only. Wait, no more talking for you. So then, he says, V'chol zeh be'Yisrael davka. He says, all of these laws are only applicable to Jewish law, for Jews. How about non-Jews? Aval b'nei Noach. But the children of Noach, meaning those they don't have the Torah, right? Non-Jews around the world, delet bel kiddushin, they don't have kiddushin, they don't have chuppah, they don't have nisuin. Their marriage is them being together. They don't need a kiddushin, they don't need. So if somebody has the same situation as our situation here, with their father's concubine or whatever you call it, for a b'nei Noach, that's asur. That's like them being with their own mother. Because that woman being with the father with no kiddushin, no chuppah, nothing, that is the marriage. Because for them, the marriage is them being together. That's their marriage. They don't need no chuppah, nothing. As long as they agree to the marriage and they're together, they're married.
But isn't also
Orale?
the Jewish marriage two parts, like the whole kiddushin and arusin, and also the second part, which is like being together.
Chuppah, right.
So doesn't that
But you must have the chuppah and irisin. If you only have the second part, you could call yourself married, but if you don't have a ketubah and kiddushin, you're not fully married.
And also, like Yaakov and them, they did ketubah back then. They had.
We're going to talk about this. Anybody else want to be smart for me to shut them down?
Yes.
Oh, please.
Once a woman leaves a man and sleeps with another man, she's not allowed to go back to him. Does this rule apply to the laflefon?
Very good. I don't think so. Because I think that's when they're married only.
She can go back and forth.
Ugh.
Because she's not married.
I don't think so.
Because she's not married.
She was not married to him, so I would say then that wouldn't apply in that case. Don't quote me on that, because I'm rusty when it comes to these.
And Rabbi, for non-Jews, I think you don't even have to go stepmom, stepson. It's if she's married to the father, she's a married woman sleeping with somebody else.
Yes, that's what we're saying. That's exactly what we're saying.
Oh,
You weren't here when we said that.
No,
Go ahead. You're done? Oh, go ahead.
I think I could be.
You're probably wrong, but it's okay.
I was pretty sure that BDF it said that I think I was reading the halakha that a guy and a girl, the Jewish, that they have like relations and they both have kavanah to be married. It's considered that they're married, but it says it's like lo it's like it's
Right. Because Chachamim ordained what is a Jewish marriage.
Right.
Because Jewish marriage is according to law of Chachamim. Right? Therefore, if there is no chuppah and kiddushin, kedat Moshe ve'Israel, it's not done. It's not.
Oh, so it basically just says mutar for them to be together, but it's not that they're not married. That's all that
Right.
I was saying.
Right.
Okay.
Okay? So now, you guys following what's happening right now? So now that we said this information about Reuven and the Pilegesh, Bilha, now, where are the tribes of Am Yisrael? Before the Torah was given, the 12 tribes, were they considered Jews or non-Jews? It makes all the difference now.
According to the brothers, they were.
Well, it goes back to that big sure, but
Remember? So now, if we say they were considered
2 years ago.
Jews, if we consider them al-Yahud, right? Then Reuven would have a problem. Because according to Jewish law, if we consider them Jews, then Reuven doesn't have a problem. Because according to Jewish law, she's a Pilegesh. It's wrong, but it's not that severe. You're not with someone's, you weren't go with somebody's wife. You shouldn't have done that, but it's not that severe. But if before the Torah was given, the 12 tribes were still considered Bnei Noach, meaning regular non-Jews, children of Noach, then Reuven would have a problem.
But didn't the brothers accept upon themselves that they were Jewish at that time? So it should apply from the scenario
That's
that they
his
are
whole
Jews.
point.
That's what we're trying to get to. That's what we're trying to get to. I mean, it's the end of the shiur, so you're no genius. Yeah, following? It's one of those explosive ones. See how it starts clicking in? How did that feel? Amazing. Good. Great. It's better than the stone edition. So now, Yaakov haya mistapek. Yaakov Avinu, this is the confusion that he had. Im yatzu ha'avot miklal bnei Noach. If the forefathers were no longer considered Noahites, meaning all of the avot, all of our patriarchs and matriarchs did all the mitzvot, right? We know that they did all, even before the Torah was given, they did all the mitzvot. But the question is, did they do it just willingly because they wanted to? Or no, they really were considered Bnei Israel already. Especially the children of Yaakov Avinu, because he was Israel. So the children of Yaakov Avinu are Bnei Israel. So are they considered Jews or not? So Yaakov Avinu himself doubted this. Were they or not? Halachically considered Bnei Israel or not? So if they were considered and they have a din of Israel Gamur, or lo yatzu, or maybe they're still Bnei Noach, de'im yatzu ein l'Reuven avon asher chata. Because if they were no longer Noahites and they were Jews, Reuven doesn't have a sin that he committed. Delo chashiva Bilha eshed Yaakov, because Bilha was not considered Yaakov Avinu's wife. So his sin is not, okay, it was wrong, but it's not a sin of being with someone else's wife. He didn't do that, right? But however, if they're still Bnei Noach, if they're still considered Noahites, Reuven has a chet gadol. Umishum hachi amar leh. Therefore, Yaakov Avinu said to Reuven, "Eini merachecha ve'eini makarecha." I'm not going to push you away, and I'm not going to bring you in, because I don't know. I'm going to leave it to who? Moshe Rabbeinu. When Moshe Rabbeinu comes, he's going to decide. And the beauty of it is, Moshe Rabbeinu did. The bracha that Moshe Rabbeinu gave to Reuven, in Zot HaBaracha, to tribe of Reuven, is exactly that bracha. That Moshe Rabbeinu stamped the stamp of approval on the tribe of Reuven when he gave the blessing to Reuven. You'll see that. Because over there in Zot HaBaracha, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Yechi Reuven ve'al yamot. Reuven lives and shall not die. What he was referring to was, Reuven lives as one of the tribes. And it's not going to pay for their sin. They're not going to have death on them because of the sin of Reuven. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu came and said, I paskin lahalacha. They were considered Jews. Now,
Did he paskin this on the day of his death or earlier on?
I mean, earlier on, but that was the bracha that he gave in his bracha. So now, we have one, Hashem considers the future good that Bnei Israel do and not the future bad. Number two, Yaakov Avinu was undecided whether the Jews or his children were considered Jews or Noahites. And that's why he had the question whether Reuven sinned or not. Now we're going to go back to Yosef HaTzadik. You just got, smell that beauty. It's good, huh? It's so good. It's so good. So he says, Uvazeh. Now with this following point, now we understand what a genius Rashi was. You think Rashi was just like a commentary? I'm just going to give you a simple meaning. Look how deep Rashi was. Rashi said what? Yaakov Avinu said, who are these children? All of a sudden his nevuah left him because of Yerovam and Yehu. Right? And then Yosef said, no, wait. I have a ketubah and kedushin. We said, how does that even, why is Rashi even saying that? How does that even answer his question? Why is that putting Yaakov Avinu at ease? So it says, let's understand Rashi here. The fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't see the bad that the Jews are going to do in the future, doesn't count it, is what? And he only looks at the good, Davka be'Yisrael. He only does that with his own children, Am Yisrael. Why? Because he said, look, you accept the Torah, you're going to have certain freebies with me. It's going to be hard. There's going to be mitzvot. You're going to have regulations. You're going to have limitations. It's going to be hard, but there's certain things that you'll have that only you and I will have. One of them is that the bad that you'll do in the future, I'm not even going to look at. The good that you'll do in the future, you get credit for it now. So therefore, the fact that Hashem only with the Jews has that kind of a relationship, idolaters he doesn't. Those are Bnei Noach. Beyadua sheYerovam mitchila haya chacham tzaddik gadol. Yerovam is known that he was in the beginning a big tzaddik, as it says over there. only later he sinned. And also v'chen Yehu, also Yehu. First he was a tzaddik, achar kach chata. Only later on he became not righteous. So he says, now we said what did we say? We said idolaters, on the other hand, are judged both ways. Only Jews are judged for their good. Idolaters, even if it's bad in the future, there's going to be judgments for that. So it says, Ulfi da'at Yaakov Avinu, and in Yaakov Avinu's view, that he didn't know if they're considered Jews or not. It was questionable to him. Are we considered Jews now or not? If we're Jews, what happens in the future, even if it's bad, it doesn't matter. So therefore, if we're considered Jews, it doesn't matter that he's going to have great-great-grandchildren who's Yerovam or Yehu that are going to do bad. So what? It doesn't mean anything. Because Hashem's not going to consider those. Right? But if we're not Jews, if we're still Bnei Noach, if we're still Noahite, then what are we going to do with the fact that his great Menashe and Ephraim are going to have great-grandchildren are so wicked? And I'm going to give them a blessing? Hashem doesn't want to give a blessing to that because it's bad. Hashem considers the bad for the idolaters. And I should consider it too. I shouldn't give him blessing. Imken, therefore, what did Yosef HaTzadik do? He said, no. We're no longer considered Bnei Noach. You know why? Here's my Kedushin and my Ketubah. I married my wife Kedat Moshe ve'Yisrael with a Ketubah. I already made it so that we're considered Bnei Yisrael. Therefore, whatever you're seeing in the future, if it's bad, it doesn't count because Hashem doesn't even look at that. Look at who they are now. Menashe and Ephraim, your grandchildren. Kachem na'elai v'avarachem, bring him to me and I will bless them. You guys remember this beauty, how everything has to fit. We spoke about this was the difference of opinion between the Shevatim and Yosef. Are we Jews now? Or are we Noahites now? Which one is it?
So Yosef now agrees with his brothers.
Now Yosef is agreeing with his brothers. Yo, high five that because you remembered.
Oh boy.
That was good. Because before, Yosef HaTzadik was telling the brothers, no, we're still Noahites. And the brothers were saying, no, we're Bnei Israel. Here it turns out Yosef is agreeing with his brothers.
You can choose.
Kaboom.
Jonas, no, it seems, I want to say, Yosef HaTzadik saw what that difference of opinion caused. And then he realized, according to this, it might be that he realized that, no, they were right. We're still Bnei Israel. We do the mitzvot. Either you could say it like that, or you could say no. Even though Yosef HaTzadik felt that they're Bnei Noach, at the end of the day, he chose to do the mitzvot. And when you choose to do the mitzvot, they work. Yes, I know that I could have just married her without Kedushin and Ketubah, but I did it Kedat Moshe ve'Yisrael. I consider myself now, I paskin, we're Jews.
How did he have a...
How good was this? How good? It's just, it's like, come on. You don't need alcohol when you have such beautiful Torah. This is beautiful. Yes.
How did he have somebody marrying him off and kosher witnesses? Or did he not need that?
Okay, technical, I don't know. You're asking a good question. What do you have if they were doing a kedam? What do you use the kosher witnesses? I'm saying it I'm using those terminologies loosely.
Okay, so let's say Kedat, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov.
Okay, maybe.
But use one of the Shavatim's kids. They were around.
They weren't around.
They were around.
Right. So,
Because he's circumcised.
did you need witnesses? Maybe he converted some Egyptians. Did you even need witnesses then? Yeah, he circumcised. Yeah, they had Brit Milah. Maybe he had some people that I'm sure Yosef HaTzadik was successful in bringing in some of the Egyptians.
That makes sense. Erev Rav.
Yeah.
I would technically you don't even need those two. You just go with the third option.
Of what? Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.